2 days earlier, President Trump said Miami had long been a haven for those fleeing communist tyranny in South Africa, in what appeared to be a reference to South America, at which point the president appeared to double down and suggested South Africa should not be in the G20 at all. On Friday, a post saying it was a total disgrace that the G20 would be held in South Africa and that Afrikaners, whom he pointed out descended from Dutch, French and German immigrants, were being killed and slaughtered, and that their land and farms were being illegally confiscated. While crime is a widely recognized problem affecting all race groups, President Trump has honed in on attacks against Afrikaners, while any land acquisition in South Africa must follow an established and exceptional legal framework. Sherman Bricepies, SABC News, New York.
Welcome back to 10 Minutes of Kuhle. Today we unpack a heated diplomatic storm brewing just before the G20 Summit in Johannesburg. South Africa's Minister of International Relations, Ronald Lamola, has gone head-to-head with U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio, being his counterpart, obviously. But after Rubio just echoed President Donald Trump, accused South Africa, the South African government, of turning a blind eye to violence against Afrikaners and white farmers. Trump went as far as announcing that the U.S. would not send officials to the G20 Summit in South Africa, citing the ongoing persecution of Afrikaners. Lamola fired back, calling those claims, imagine, I'm so sorry, and politically motivated. But the real question is, who's actually being honest here? When America draws a line in the sand, let's start here. America has always been clear. It stands for freedom, justice, and the protection of minorities, even when that makes the world uncomfortable, i.e. the Nigerian Christians that are being persecuted. Trump stood up for them. Now, if there are credible reports, even allegations of racial targeting or bias in a partner nation, the United States must take a position. And it's not just Trump. Marco Rubio, who is the U.S. Secretary of State, isn't making this out of thin air. Farm attacks in South Africa are real. While the numbers vary, it's undeniable that farmers, particularly white farmers, have faced violent attacks and brutal killings. Pretending it's not happening doesn't make it go away, Lamola, i.e. or Ramaphosa. What Rubio and Trump are saying is simple. Until South Africa can guarantee safety and equality for all its citizens, not just the politically convenient ones or the connected ones, it can't expect business as usual. Now, Lamola's numbers versus the reality. Minister Lamola cited SAPS data saying that from 2020 to 2024, 225 people were victims of crimes on farms, of which 53 were farmers, mostly white. Now, that might sound like a small number until you realize that the entire farming population is tiny compared to South Africa's general population. Proportionality, that's significant. And more than just numbers, this is about the tone of government. When senior politicians, including members of parliament and leaders of political movements, i.e. the EFF, chant "kill the poor," and government simply shrugs, what message does that send? America isn't saying that South Africa is practicing apartheid in reverse. What it's saying is there's a climate of hostility against minorities, and that's not something to ignore. By dismissing these concerns as imagined, Lamola exposes exactly the kind of arrogance that frustrates the international community. You can't claim to lead the global south while ignoring the suffering of your own people. Any of your people, for that matter, whether they are white or black. The US is right to skip the G20. So was the US right not to attend the G20 in Johannesburg? Absolutely. Diplomacy isn't about the photo ops. It's about principle. If the host country continues to downplay human rights issues, flirt with authoritarian powers like Russia and China, and picks fights with the West at every turn, why should we pretend? Why should Washington pretend everything's fine? Skipping the G20 sends a message. We won't legitimize bad governance, double standards, and hostility towards democratic values. Besides, let's be honest, South Africa's foreign policy lately has been anti-West by design, from cozying up to Moscow to defending Hamas and rejecting PEPFAR for Beijing. Pretoria's message has been clear. We don't need the West. Well, Washington is simply responding. Then we'll act accordingly. Why should we pay countries to hate us? They should just hate us for free, as Senator Kennedy once said. Now, this is just simply a country in denial. South Africa's officials often say we're misunderstood. But the truth is, South Africa's leadership has grown defensive, even delusional when challenged. Every criticism is painted as neo-colonial, every question as racism. Meanwhile, rural safety is collapsing, corruption is rampant, and the government keeps insisting that all is well. What Lamola should have done was acknowledge that crime and violence on farms are indeed a concern for all victims, both black and white. That would have been a balanced, mature response. Instead, he dismissed Rubio and Trump as liars, and in doing so, reinforced the very image of denial and hostility the US and other nations are warning about. Now, in closing, principle over politics. At the end of the day, this isn't just about Afrikaners or farmers or even the G20. It's about whether South Africa's government still believes in equality, or if only it believes in protecting certain groups for political gain. The United States has chosen principle over politics by refusing to attend the G20 in Johannesburg. And that's a message not just for Pretoria, but for the world. Cannot demand global respect while silencing or dismissing the pain of your minorities. This has been 10 Minutes with Kuhle. I'm your host, Kuhle Maseko. And if you have enjoyed this episode, please, and very please, click on that subscribe button. It really helps in growing those numbers. We are being shadow banned by YouTube, so you could do the least by just subscribing and sharing this video with 5 other friends so we can keep the truth burning. Don't forget, this is not racist. It is not racist to stand up for something that is true. It is simply political morality. It is simply morals to stand up for what is going on in the country. As well as, if you do love the content we produce, do consider becoming a paid member of this channel. It is as cheap as 20 Rand. It helps in keeping the lights on. It helps in keeping this content going, because it is tedious and it is so expensive to run such a channel. As well as, you can support the cause by buying me a coffee in the super chats below. This has been 10 Minutes of Kuhle. Till next time, Shabbat Shalom.